Hi there. If you were not able to be in class today, I just wanted to tell you what we talked about, and I'll make this really brief because class was pretty brief today. But basically, we just went over the very end of the final. Okay, we talked about what it meant. So, first of all, what I want you to remember is that there is an entire YouTube video that also goes over the final. So, you can just watch that and get all the information that you need. But in class on Tuesday, we already went over the first part of the final exam, which is I should go back up here, which is section 1 that explains the rules and the directions. Then section 2 was where you talk about the first job profile that you picked. You give us the title, the employer, and things like the search words you use, the salary, what kind of degree do you need, what's the job all about. That's where you just fill out the basic information about the job. Then you're going to do the same exact thing for your second job that you choose. So you need 2 jobs and you need to fill out 2 job profiles, both of them having to do with jobs that you could potentially get one day in the field of language arts. Again, if you need more information on those, watch the video that is actually in the Google form because it goes through each one of those if you're not sure how to answer those. The reflection questions. This is what we spent most of our time in class on today, was talking about the reflection questions. These are the ones that need to be answered thoughtfully and have to have at least 2 sentences as an answer, 2 well-written sentences as an answer. That's for this section called the reflection questions. So question 1 is list some ways you could find out more information about jobs you were interested in. So I already gave you one. I gave you Indeed.com. Indeed.com is a great way to find out information about jobs you might be interested in. So this is asking, where could you find out more information? Where could you look? Who could you talk to? Who could you call? Who could you email? That's what I'm asking. How can you find out more information about jobs that you're interested in beyond using Indeed.com like we did for this project? Okay. And again, 2 sentences here, 2 well written sentences. Number 2, this one's pretty self explanatory. Which job did you find that was the most interesting and why? So, this is going to be from the 2 jobs you found, you're going to pick the one that you really like the most and tell me why. Okay. Number 3, what do you think is the most important thing you learned in this project? So, here's the deal. We could have given you a final that was like 100 questions, read these passages, answer these questions. We could have done that. But instead, we decided to do a project that we thought might actually benefit you down the road, okay, by searching for some jobs. So, my question is, what is the thing that you learned through this project? What did you learn about yourself? What did you learn about jobs? What did you learn? Okay, so think about that one as far as what did you learn by completing this? Question 4, based on this project, what do you want to know more about now? Here's what I mean by that. Maybe you found a whole field of jobs that you didn't even know existed. Like maybe you didn't know that there was a such thing as communications as a job, or maybe you weren't aware that acting fell under language arts and it might be something you could actually do. So maybe you found that out, maybe not. But what I want to know is now, what do you want to know more about? So maybe you've had this epiphany that communications is your thing. Like, gosh, I would be so good at that. And now you want to know, like, what do I have to do to get to that point? Like, do I have to go to college? Do I have to get a 4-year degree? Do I have to get a master's degree? How do I get the kind of salary that I want? Those are some things you might want to know more about. So that's what it's asking is now, what questions do you have now? What are the things that you're like, oh, shoot, I need to find out some more information about this? And then finally, what was the most surprising or unexpected job you found in your search results? So, as I was searching each of these search topics, there was always at least one job that kind of made me chuckle a little bit because I was like, really? That's a job? So, something that surprised me, something unexpected that popped out at me. That's what I'm asking you to list here. So as you were searching, what's the one job that you found that either surprised you, made you laugh, made you raise your eyebrows a little bit, was maybe a little bit unexpected, and tell me a little bit about it. Okay. Now, we also talked about how I'm going to grade you on this final exam. So this final is worth 50 points. No, my gosh, it's worth, I can't even talk. This final is worth 100 points. 50 points is for the reflection. That's what I've been talking about all morning. But this final is worth 100 points. So you get 25 points for job profile 1 if you do it all correctly, 25 points for job profile 2, and then 50 points for the reflection questions. And that, of course, adds up to 100. So let me walk you through this really quick. And this rubric will be attached to your assignment so that you can kind of check through it and make sure you have all the things that you need. So for job profile 1 and job profile 2, because those are going to look identical, you're going to get 0 points if you don't do it. That's pretty obvious. Okay. You're going to get 5 points only if you find a job related to language arts, but you don't really answer any of the questions. Like either none of them are answered or you answer with, I don't know, or IDK, or a question mark. You're only going to get 5 points for that. You're going to get 15 points if you find a job and you answer some of the questions, or some of them are right, but some of them are not answered, or some of them are just wrong. Okay, so you're going to give you 15 points for doing that much at least. You get 25 points for finding a job and answering all of the questions as asked. Okay, so it shouldn't be too hard to get 25 points as long as you kind of take your time and make sure it's filled out correctly. So this is what job profile 1 looks like. There's also one for job profile 2, which looks exactly the same. But now let's talk about the reflection questions, because this is where most of your points come from. The reflection questions are worth 50 points altogether. Okay, so this one's a little harder to get 50 points on. It's not going to be hard to get 30 points, but it's going to be a little more challenging to get 50. So I want to make sure you understand the difference. First of all, you're going to get 0 points if you don't do it, obviously. We're going to give you 10 points if you answer like half of the questions. Okay, so you can at least get some points. You get 10 points if you answer like half of them, or half of them well. Now, this is where it gets a little tricky, is how do you get 50 instead of 30? So you're going to get 30 points if you answer all the questions. So you're like, wait a minute, what? If we answer them all, we only get 30? Well, yeah, but you're still missing some stuff from the directions. So you might get 30 points if you answer all the questions, but maybe your answers are all only one sentence. Or maybe your answers are not right. Or maybe they don't answer the question that's being asked. Or maybe you just put an IDK in there. Those, actually, no, that would probably get you 10 points, wouldn't it? But what I'm saying is the difference between 30 and 50 points is that you're either not writing enough or you're not explaining what you mean. To get 50 points, you're going to answer all the questions. Each one is going to have at least 2 sentences as a response, and they're going to be answered thoughtfully. And what I mean by that is that it's obvious that you understood the question and you have answered it correctly and you've explained what you mean. Okay. And in order to get 2 sentences out of it, you're going to have to do all of those things. So that's the difference between 30 and 50 points. And honestly, I'm going to be able to tell how much time you spent on it just by glancing at it. Because if I go to the reflection questions on your Google form and I just see 1 or 2 word answers, or just quick, short, little 1 sentence answers, I'm going to know right away that you can't have 50 points on it. And then I'm going to have to look at it a little more closely to see where you fall between 10 and 30. But it's going to be really obvious to me right away who gets 30 points and who gets 50 points. If it looks like you spent some time on it, you have at least 2 sentences for each one, then I'm going to look at it a little more carefully, but you're probably going to get 50 points for that. Otherwise, it'll probably be 30. Okay? And that's it. So if you are struggling with this at all or have any questions, email me, come find me. I will help you. But remember, these are due next Wednesday, June the 2nd. They cannot be turned in after that time, or else we cannot accept them because grades close. So you have a week. That is more than enough time. Just sit down, find yourself a pocket of time, work through it, and get it done. And then you can turn it in as soon as you are ready. I hope you have a great day, guys. Talk to you soon.